So, my personal thoughts on Battlefield 5 then. I'm sure you lads have watched your fair share of Battlefield 5 content already, covering plenty of different topics like fortifications, gunplay, and movement. So today I'd like to talk about something unique to me. My own impressions of the game. What I liked and what I didn't like. I'm guessing this will be a long enough video, unusual here on my channel, but there is a lot to be said about this new game, and I'd prefer to talk about it as much as humanly possible. First things first, initial impressions. Well, being brutally honest, I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I was literally jumping up and down as we queued to get into the capture session area. It was a long wait. Once in, there were a few hiccups to do with capture software and the game server was a little laggy, but really that didn't make much difference. I plonked myself down beside the broken machine and squatted up with him and the Squid and Wheezy duo. All really nice guys, it was so cool to meet them. We were playing as the British attackers on the Narvik map. The first thing I took note of wasn't actually what you'd expect, it was the menu system. It's so much cleaner now. The UI guys and girls at DICE really have stepped up their game with this one. I do have a few things to say about it though, but I'll leave the bad stuff until later on in the video. Obviously the visuals were amazing. I mean, what else would we expect from DICE? They always make the best looking games out there. I loved the lighting most of all, especially during the day one air landings. The gunfire from the Germans below flying through the air gave everything a really cool glow. It all looked great in the nighttime setting as well. I love the fact that DICE can change the objective of each operation as well, the new grand operations that is. Each grand operation can be based on each of the actual World War II battles. In the build I played, we had to take out German cannons with explosives, but that doesn't mean next week, on the same map, day one will be the same mode. I'd say it's insanely hard to balance, but it's very, very fun. Airborne in general was really cool. I never got shot down by the Germans, but I know that I came close a few times. I was chancing my arm and trying to get as far into the map as I could. Again, there were a couple of things I didn't like, but I'll leave the bad stuff to the end because there isn't a lot. I immediately noticed the gunplay. My god, it is just so much better. Probably the best it has ever been since I started playing the Battlefield games. Rather than not know where you're aiming, you know what your gun is going to do every single time you shoot. That's honestly one of the best changes in Battlefield 5 in my own opinion. I didn't get to use every weapon in the build, I was too busy rocking guns like the MP40 or the Kar 98K rifle. The STG-44 was also such a cool gun, really lost control of it at those longer ranges, but that's how it was balanced. It was only after the capture session that I realised I didn't use the second LMG for the support class, which is a pity because that one looked insanely fun. I didn't fly any planes either. From the sounds of it, Ponyline was hogging them the entire time, and I think Flakfire spent a bit of time crashing them into the ground. I'm not a pilot though, so I wasn't too pushed. The tanks though, them I did try. Really, really fun. There were a few things that DICE actually wanted to have implemented for the tanks that just didn't make it into this build, but I'm sure they'll detail them more in the future. From what I did play though, it was really epic. I had a teammate in with me using a flamethrower and we just destroyed stuff. Kind of took a wrong turn somewhere and ended up getting us both killed, but it was really fun nonetheless. I loved all the small details in Battlefield 5, like we know DICE are going big on immersion, so it's the things like reloading that really impress me. I noticed when I reloaded the MP40, the soldier model didn't just magically generate a stick magazine, they actually reached into their chest and unhooked one. When you throw a grenade, you reach to your belt and throw one from there. I loved when I picked up the bombs to destroy the cannons that you actually flung it over your shoulder. It was the little things like that that I really appreciated in game. I loved parachuting too. There were so many times though that I'd hop out of a plane and just land right in front of the defenders. It looked cool but got pretty annoying after a while. Actually, from that I guess we should take a look at the things that I didn't like. Now, I don't want to appear to bash the game this early in development. Yes, it's pre-alpha build of the game, So like I mentioned, the new UI is awesome, but I do have a few suggestions. The minimalistic white is nice, but white on white is not a good move. It just clashes with the snow maps. The added effect like the color shift and the drop shadow help, but something more needs to be done, I think. I like the white, but it can get lost on this sort of map. I love the V symbol made from getting an award, like a ribbon, but even though it looks awesome and badass and it makes you feel so cool getting a ribbon, maybe it's a little bit too big. It does take up a lot of the screen. Similarly, the kill log, again, it looks badass and I actually like the skull icons and stuff and how the kills all stack up, but maybe it could be toned down. Getting a few kills just fills your screen with red skulls and it is quite distracting. I've seen a few people suggest that this be moved to the side of the screen to be less distracting. Ideally, I'd love that freedom in the game. Maybe even a toggle to turn it off completely. But I don't mind it being in the center. I think it's supposed to stand out and make you feel like a badass. Having it in the center definitely does that. The minimap is square again. I don't think it's as important as other UI elements. I kinda miss the circle from Battlefield 1 though. Mainly because it gave us a clearer view of the map diagonally. But I don't think the new look is that important. The kill log wasn't turned on in this build, but I've heard it was a bit buggy for some people. I don't think the loadout stuff needs to be that big. I mean, we pick our loadout, we already know what we have equipped, and it definitely shouldn't stay on screen for as long as it did. I don't even think it went away in some of the gameplay. Maybe it shouldn't even show at all. I really like the bigger focus on squad play, but I didn't like having the last squad member message blocking my view. To be honest, it'd be much better suited down maybe over the minimap, near the squad members' names. I understand it's supposed to warn you, hey dude, stay alive or you'll be swiped, but it's a little distracting. The visual effects like the snow, wow, it's just way too much. Even in the buildings I could barely see. Again, this is the sort of thing that goes along with the title of pre-alpha. Minor things that can be tweaked before launch. I did really like how everything reacted with the environment. So the snow blowing in, the windows, around the window frames and the door frames, that stuff, that's just amazing looking. But it is a bit distracting. Calling for a medic. The UI told me to do something with left click on the mouse, but at the start all I did was click it. Maybe a sort of animation could be made to show that you have to hold down left click, or even the wording could be changed to say, hold to call for a revive. Also, I don't think I need to be told I'm bleeding out, but maybe it can come up on screen for like a second. I don't think it needs to stay there though. The red can't spawn on squadmate message, that is just way too big as well. That could be much smaller and it doesn't even need to be on the screen for that long. I mentioned it in another video about the crouch sprint. Most of the time I thought it was just a bug in the running animation, so maybe have a stance indicator somewhere that could help illustrate when you're standing, crouched or prone. I don't like the new capture graphic. The old one from Battlefield 1 I think is so much better. Again, like the others, this new icon just takes up way too much of the screen. If you get a kill when capturing, the entire middle part of your screen becomes pretty much red. What I was thinking is that it's big when you initially start capturing, but then it zooms back to where it was along the top of the screen. Or maybe we don't get an icon like that at all. It stays put on top of the flag. That would mean keeping an eye on the actual capture point to know how far along we're into capturing it. I could go on forever, really, with these tiny little tweaks I'd make to the game, but what I consider an improvement, hundreds of you lads might consider a really bad decision. I'm not a game developer at the end of the day. So, I think I'll end things here. I'll be making more of these style videos in the future though, covering different aspects of Battlefield 5. I know I covered the UI a lot today, but I'll move on to other topics in future content. I'll be giving my thoughts on them and then maybe suggest numerous changes. But let me pass off the question to you now. What do you like about Battlefield 5? Personally, I think it's shaping up to be a great game. Better in so many different ways, but at the same time, there are a few things I'd like to talk about. But anyway, thank you lads for watching. Quite a long one, I hope you stuck with me and enjoyed the video nonetheless. If you did, leave it a like, I'd really appreciate that, or a dislike if you didn't. Subscribe to join the lads, but until the next one, I'll see you lads later.